to do a video on how to avoid mistakes as a new small business owner. However, there are a lot of videos out there like that already. So instead, I'm going to actually share with you guys the struggles that I've had growing a small business so far and how I've overcome them, or how I'm trying to overcome them. These struggles are very common for small business owners, and I know a lot of you guys are probably going through the same struggles as I am growing a small business, because no matter how glamorous that people on the internet make it look, it's just not that easy, and it's not easy for them either. It's just sometimes hard to be a bit more vulnerable and share the hardest sides of growing a small business. So the one that came to mind as soon as I thought of this question was actually spreading myself too thin. I feel like the one thing I've struggled with most when growing a small business is the constant feeling of that I'm behind, and that I need to be faster, and I need to put out products faster, and I need to do all these amazing things, otherwise my business is never going to grow and I'm never going to be successful. The minute I opened my Etsy shop, I just started trying to do as many things as I possibly could. I immediately wanted to get into wholesale. I started signing up to do markets and conventions, and I tried to push out as many new products a week as I possibly could. I actually spent my whole first year just trying to push myself to do as many things as I possibly could. You know, things take time to grow, and in my head, the fact that I wasn't growing substantially in the first year of having a business meant I was a failure. So I kept thinking, I need to do more, I need to do more. It ended up actually hindering my growth quite a lot in my first year, because I felt like I was pushing out products that I wasn't necessarily happy with. I wasn't thinking about what markets or conventions would be the best for my business and what events I would do well at. I just wanted to do them all. Spreading yourself too thin, forcing yourself to do too many things at once is not going to help you. In fact, it's going to slow your growth down, probably way more than it's ever going to help your growth. I didn't feel like I got anywhere with anything. I feel like I didn't really make that much at market stores the majority of the time, and my Etsy shop didn't really grow as much as it could have because I was neglecting it. It almost feels like the fear of missing out, because you're constantly afraid that you're missing a great opportunity for your small business. I began prioritizing. Prioritizing will really save you from spreading yourself too thin. For example, I really wanted to get into wholesaling last year, but I realized that there's no point in me doing wholesale if I don't have more products. So last year, I stopped trying to focus on wholesaling as much, and I slowly began focusing on just trying to create more products. And this year, my focus is 100% making more products. Currently, right now, I'm making a planner pad. Prioritizing is absolutely the best thing for you. You need to really sit down and think about what matters most to you, because maybe markets and conventions are really cool, but if in the long run you don't want to be a seller at markets and conventions and they're more of just a way for you to make more money for your business, then they're not the high priority. If you want to be an online shop, then your Etsy shop or your Shopify shop is the priority. I recommend using Notion, honestly. Notion is really good for building like templates and content calendars and stuff like that. I kind of have all of my lists for my priorities and my goals and stuff on Notion. Not only is it a bad mentality, but also spreading yourself too thin is gonna waste a lot of your time and money. If you don't prioritize, you're gonna end up wasting a lot of money on events and conventions and buying and making products that you may never sell. It's just really not a logical business plan to want to do everything. You can't do everything because your business can't be everything. These aren't really in any order, but the second thing that I thought about was comparison. I really try not to do this because I've never found someone that's at exactly the same stage in their small business as I am. I often find myself comparing myself to people who have years worth more experience than I am, but I still find myself doing it almost constantly. It's really not easy to just stop comparing yourself, no matter what anyone says. So instead, I'm actually going to tell you something that worked for me. And I don't love this method because it is kind of sad, but it has worked. I unfollowed all the people I was comparing myself to. And I hate that because I want to be able to follow and support my fellow small businesses. However, there are a couple of small businesses that I do find myself comparing myself to the most, and it's not healthy. And I hope hoping that one day I'll be able to follow them again with the knowledge that I am not going to compare myself to them anymore. But that is the method that I found most effective for when I'm comparing myself. And it's not that it's anything that they've done, but I'm sure they probably also don't want you comparing yourself to them either. I will say sometimes a healthy comparison is good. Sometimes I look at other small businesses and other people and I look at what they're doing and I take inspiration from them. I get motivation from them. Or even looking at what your competitors are doing, so you can kind of try and figure out ways that you can stand out from them. Because you don't want to be like everyone else when you're running a small business. You want to stand out. You want to have something unique about yourself. So I know it may not be the advice you want to hear, but if you do find yourself comparing yourself to other people on social media, maybe it's time to distance yourself from those people for a while. Comparison for me has been probably one of the hardest things, if not the hardest thing that I've had to go through with growing a small business. I do it without even realizing I'm doing it a lot of the time. However, I have found that since I have stopped following people who I found myself comparing myself to, that it's become a lot easier and that I don't compare myself half as much as what I was. It has actually helped me a lot and I really recommend it if you find yourself struggling with comparison. Okay, so now that we've talked about a bit of the more emotional side of my struggles, I want to talk about the other struggles that I've faced in starting a small business. Things like shipping. While we talk about this, I'm gonna clean up my really badly organized and messy space. And I think a good place to start with one of the struggles I've had as a small business is actually my workspace. Workspace is actually so important. I mean, not only is it important for productivity, like you need a good workspace, but I feel like aside from that, workspaces can actually really hold you back. I personally hate this area. I never want to work in this area. I hate coming down here. All of my, I have a lot of my stickers and stuff in here and some pins and stuff. And they're just not very nicely organized. When packing orders, I don't enjoy it that much because everything's just so scattered and unorganized. It really does have a big effect on you and your productivity. And another thing is that I feel like it can really affect how willing you are to put your small business out there. If you're an online shop like I am, social media is going to be your best friend. However, when I first started my business, I actually didn't want to show my workspace because I was really embarrassed by it. We often see on social media a lot of people have these really aesthetic and beautiful looking workspaces, but I can guarantee if you ask any of them, those workspaces will have started out exactly the same as yours. Mine has definitely had an upgrade, but it's still not quite there yet, but it will get there one day. I honestly thought when I started doing videos and stuff that I'd get a lot of comments about how ugly my workspace was and how bad it was. I mean, look at that, look. And I was really embarrassed by it. But let me share something with you. I've been doing social media for like 1.5 years now for my small business, and not a single person on any platform has ever commented on my workspace. People don't care. The way that I got over feeling embarrassed by my workspace was actually just to post. And I learned very quickly, no one cares, because the likelihood is a lot of people who aren't on social media probably also don't have very aesthetic workspaces either. Because like I said, it takes a while to grow and achieve a really aesthetic, beautiful workspace. It's like decorating a house. You don't just do it overnight. It happens slowly over time. Let's talk about shipping now, shall we? I do have a few tips. However, shipping is definitely a thing that you just have to do it to learn about it. So if you're worried about shipping prices and you're not really sure how customs and things work, I will link some resources down below that are really helpful. I think the thing that gets me even to this day are tariff numbers. Tariff numbers seem really scary when you're first starting out. If you're on Etsy, they usually tend to give you a suggested tariff number. I always recommend double checking it because sometimes they are wrong. Tariff numbers, if you're sending to like the EU and stuff, it's just about the material. So if you have a stainless steel keychain, you'll just put it as like the stainless steel. Or if you have an acrylic keychain, you'll put it as acrylic. So it's really not that scary. Don't worry about it too much. The one thing I really struggled with shipping was learning how much to charge people for shipping for specific items and box sizes and stuff. Sometimes I still have issues. Again, I think shipping is just a learning curve. However, I'm going to be releasing skinny tumblers in February on my shop, and I don't know how much that's going to cost to ship. However, all I do is I'll put the skinny tumblers in a box, package it like I usually would, weigh it, measure it, I go onto the Royal Mail website and I just click on like, if it's it'll probably be a small parcel size, it'll be small parcel, I'll type the weight in and I'll click on the various different countries you can send it to through Royal Mail, and it'll tell me for each country how much it should roundabout cost for each country. So if you're worried, just go onto your courier's websites and they should have all of that there. You can just kind of do like little fake testers. That should really help you to get an estimate for how much things are going to cost. Now let's talk about short form content. That's another thing I really struggle with, and I want to kind of talk about social media in general, because I feel like there's this massive like standard for social media where it's like, oh, you have to be on TikTok because it's really popular right now, and you have to do Instagram because that's where all the artists are. There's like all these like pressures to be on every social media website, and let me tell you, you don't need to do it all. Social media is great for growing a small business. However, when I first started out, I was really trying to do every single social media platform I could do. I was trying to do Pinterest, even though I don't really understand like Pinterest in general. I just kind of go on there for like references for art and stuff. I was trying to do Facebook, which I hate Facebook. Twitter, I hate Twitter. I didn't like them, and it was really draining, and it took up so much of my time because I was having to schedule so many different posts for so many different platforms and come up with so many ideas so I could grow on each platform, and it was exhausting. I highly recommend choosing maybe 3 maximum social media platforms that you want to grow on and stick with them. My 3 are TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, because I love making videos, I love editing videos. However, just because I like Instagram or TikTok, it doesn't mean everyone else will. You might hate TikTok. I've heard a lot of other artists say they found it really toxic and they didn't want to be on there, and that's absolutely fine. You just have to find what works for you. So I would really stick to just 3 social media platforms, build them up, and once you get them, your audience on those platforms built up to a decent enough point, then you can maybe start thinking about adding more social media in the mix. There's a high expectation to constantly put videos out like every single day. I think I read at one time that the standard was like 3 videos a day on TikTok. 3 videos a day, what? There is so much that goes into running and starting a small business. There are so many skills that I've had to pick up along the way. I started a small business with the ability to draw and edit videos. I didn't know how to talk to camera, how to use cameras. I didn't know how to take product photos. I didn't know how to list items on Etsy. I didn't know anything about like SEO for like Etsy or anything like that. I've had to learn a lot of this stuff along the way. And I think that is something a lot of people, I guess, struggle to understand, is like, you're not going to be perfect at everything. And I wasn't perfect at product photos. In fact, my product photos were bad. There was a point when I started my small business where I was like, I'm gonna have to outsource my product photos because there's no way that I will be able to do product photos. I'm never going to be good at them. Lo and behold, I've started getting good at them. I think the biggest thing that I've learned about being a small business is just like, you've got to learn by doing a lot of the time. I mean, research helps. Obviously, I've done a lot of research into like how to take better product photos, how to do lighting and all that kind of stuff. However, even though I watched those videos, I feel like the improvement wasn't instant. It was still a lot of me messing around with like my camera and figuring out lighting. Sometimes bad things just happen, and I think this is a really important thing to bring up because it is something I struggled with at the beginning of my business, where I kept thinking to myself like, oh my god, I can't let any of these orders ever go wrong. I've got to make sure nothing ever goes wrong with my business. It was so stressful, and I think I had to learn the hard way that like, sometimes bad things are just gonna happen. Sometimes you're gonna get orders from manufacturers and the design's not gonna look how you thought it would, and you're not gonna like it as much. Or maybe you're going to ship an order to someone and the products are going to arrive broken or damaged, or they're not going to arrive at all, and the customer might get a bit angry about that. And sometimes you're just going to get customers that are unhappy or not satisfied, and there's nothing you can really do about that other than apologize, maybe offer them a discount code. I've offered people partial refunds, which seems to like make them a little happier, but also I think that's another point, is don't be too nice either. All of the great customers and the great reviews you're going to get will massively outweigh that one bad experience. so don't stress out about it. So that about concludes all of the things that I could think of that I've struggled with since starting a small business, and I really wanted to share these because I know a lot of you guys are probably also struggling with the same stuff, and I wanted to offer some solutions to hopefully help you guys get past these struggles and also to show that you're not alone. If you guys liked this video, then please check out my last vlog where I unboxed the HTV Run automatic tumbler heat press and tested out tumblers for the first time and made my first convention tumbler. It was super exciting and a really fun vlog. If you like this video, then make sure to subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!